Hey guys, Mr. Roden here. I just want to do kind of a follow-up lesson on fix my hair, box and whiskers today, and so I want to go. Let's look at our thing here. Go through and okay. So our learning target today is I can use box and whiskers graphs to solve problems. Good things. I'm going to give you my good thing today. My good thing today is I am going to go fishing today, and I am very excited about that. I'm here with you guys today, but I think I'm going to try to go get some fishing in this evening. So that's my good thing. You can just go ahead and think of a good thing, and then maybe share it with a friend afterwards. Since you're not going to share it out loud today because you're watching this video. All right, and then we're going to do our lesson on the learning target. I am going to give you a secret code as normal. And I have obviously never write the secret code, so I will tell you what the secret code is and where to write it. So make sure you are writing everything down, and you will turn this piece of paper in for 10 easy points just by taking the notes and writing the secret code down. All right, so here we go. So we've been talking about this box and whisker stuff. And so what I did is I went through and I looked at my my first period class, my fourth period class, and my eighth period class. Okay. And I asked them a question. I thought a really important question that I feel like everyone wants to know is how many times do you eat ramen noodles per month? Okay. So what I did is I asked this question, and then I got data from my first period class, I got data from my fourth period class, and I got data from my eighth period class. And each class, I want to put them on the same box and whisker, and I want to see how different kinds of data kind of affects the shape of your box and whisker graph. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do a first period data summary. So whenever we're going to do a data summary, we want to, and I want you guys to write this down. So if you want to pause me, that's fine. Our data summary is going to be, we want our maximum point, our minimum point, our Q1, our Q2, our Q3, our IQR, and then our IQR times 1.5. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my red numbers up here, and I'm going to the easiest thing to do is, hey, find the minimum and the maximum. Well, your minimum is, in this case, 8, and your maximum is 0, okay? And so now I want to go ahead and I have to find my Q2, my median. So the way I do it is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I have 23 numbers here. So let's see here. If 23, so 22 divided by 2 is 11. So if I count in 11 numbers. So let's hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I count in 11 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then, so this 3 right here is going to be my Q2. That's my Q2, that exact 3. So it looks like in this list, and make sure you have all this data down. You probably pause my video and copy all the data down. This third 3 is the median, the Q2. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to put 3 for Q2. Now, once you use that for your median, you want to exit out. You don't want to actually use the median. If that number itself is the median, not like halfway in between it, but is the median, we don't want to use it anymore. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the data up into my lower numbers, and we talked about this yesterday, and the upper numbers. And so to find my lower numbers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the median of my lower numbers. Well, to do that, let's see here. So let's see here. This one cancels this one, and 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 this one cancels this one. So what I'm getting for my lower quartile, or Q1, is that 2 right there that didn't get canceled out, right? And now I want to do the upper quartile. So we can do that. So this one cancels 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 this one, and I have this 4 left over for my Q3, my upper quartile, Q3. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is I want to figure out my IQR. Now, how do you find the IQR? Well, the IQR we learned yesterday is the Q3 minus the Q1. It's called your interquartile range, if you want to know what the IQR stands for. Interquartile range. Well, what is the interquartile range here? Well, if we take Q3, which is 3, and we subtract off Q1, which is, Q3 is 4. My bad, guys. Sorry. Okay, so Q3 is 4, Q1 is 2, and 4 minus 2 equals 2. So my IQR equals 2. And the last thing we always want to do is we want to take our IQR and we want to multiply it times 1.5. So we have 1.5, and we want to take our IQR, which is 2, and we want to figure what that is. Well, 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1, 2, 3. So my IQR times 1.5 is 3, or 3.0. Now, why do I do that? The IQR times 1.5 is an outlier check. So that helps me decide outlier check. And I want you to write all of this down here. That helps me decide if I have an outlier or not. Okay. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and I'm going to graph this. So I'm going to go, first of all, I'm going to go down. I'm going to get rid of my face here. So see you guys. I'm going to go down here, and then I'm going to graph the, first of all, the minimum. So my minimum, it looks like my minimum is 8. So I'm going to go down here and graph the point 8. So I'm going to put a point here. So this is my lowest point. And then what I normally like to do is actually go and graph the Q2 first. With the Q2 is 3. So my Q2 is 3. Hold on. So my maximum was 8 and my minimum was 0. Sorry, I have that mixed up. My maximum was 8 and my minimum was 0. So I'm going to start with Q2. So my Q2 is 3. So I'm going to go down here. Let me erase this really quick. Sorry about that, guys. My Q2 is 3. So I'm going to go over to 3. I'm going to graph that, and I'm going to put a line like this. Okay. And then my Q1 was 2. So I'm going to graph Q1, and that was 2. So that's like that. And then my next one, my Q3 was 4. So I'm going to go to 4 and graph that one. And then I'm going to make a box. Now, my minimum was 0. And my maximum was 8. Okay, so this is my box and whisker for my, what class was this? I believe this was my first period class. So this is a box and whisker for my first period class. Now, notice some things about this box and whisker. Notice I didn't use very much of my number line, and I also did not, it doesn't have an outlier. And I know it's an outlier because I know that my outlier check, it has to be an outlier. Well, it may be an outlier in this case because an outlier has to be more than 3 units away from the upper or lower Q1 or Q3. Well, maybe this is an outlier. Maybe I'm wrong. So it has to be, if it's more than 3, then it's an outlier. So let's see here. So this is 2. So this point right here is actually an outlier because anything more than 3 units away from the upper or lower box is an outlier. So if we look here, here's 2 and 3. So anything, any number, I'll put a little X here, any number that's to the right of the X, because it's 2, 3 units, anything more than 3 units to the right of the box is an outlier. So this 8 is actually an outlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my other data and see what's the next smallest piece of data. Well, the next smallest piece of data is 7. Well, is 7 an outlier? 7 is right on the X. So 7 is not an outlier because it's not greater than it. So this case, it's going to look like this. So this is going to be my outlier. This is actually going to be an outlier. It was close, but this point right here, the person who said they eat 8 ramen noodles per month is an outlier, where 7 is not, because 7 is not over 3 units away from, in this case, the Q3. Okay? So now let's go ahead and do the exact same thing for my 4th period class. I'll switch the color to blue here because they seem to be blue I chose for them. All right, so let's see if I can get the maximum minimum right this time. So let me get that right out of the way. So my maximum in my 4th period was 6 and my minimum was 1. So let me make sure I have that. So my maximum was 6 and my minimum was 1. Now, I need to go ahead and find my Q2, which is my middle number, and my median. Now, it looks like I also have, 23? So I can just count in 11 and each side, and then that middle one will be mine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this 2 right here, this is my Q2, and I'm going to X it out. And so my Q2 is that 2 right there. So my Q2 is 2. Now I need to go ahead and find my Q1. Well, the way I do that is, let's see here, I'll do it in red. This one will cancel out this 2. 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 And I have 2 in the middle. Okay? I have 2 numbers in the middle. Well, what's halfway in between 1 and 2? Well, 1.5. So that's going to be my, let's see here. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I think I did this wrong. Let me do this. Sorry. So I think it's going to cancel. So this one cancels out this. This one cancels out this 2. This one cancels out this 2. This one cancels out this 2. This one cancels out this 2, and it's actually the 2 right there because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that side. So it's actually going to be 2. Sorry, I made that mistake. So this is going to be my Q1 is going to be 2. All right. So here's something that's interesting, that your Q1 and your Q2 got smashed together. So the Q1 is also 2. So that's interesting that your median got smashed into your first quartile. All right. And we'll talk about what that looks like. Now, the last one is Q3. Well, not the last one, but let's go ahead and do that one. So Q3, let's do this one. So that this one cancels this one. 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 So 3 is your Q3. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a 3 where Q3 is. Now, let's figure out what my IQR is. My IQR is Q3 minus Q1. Well, in this case, Q3 is, what is Q3 is 3, and Q1 is 2. So 3 minus 2 equals 1. So we know that my IQR is 1. And then my IQR times 1.5, well, 1 times 1.5 is 1.5. So anything over 1.5 spaces away from the upper or lower one is an outlier. So let's go ahead and graph it. Well, my maximum, let's see here. Let's graph my Q2. My Q2 in this case was a 2. So I'm going to go over here. So my Q2 was a 2. I'm going to actually put this up a little higher here. Sorry. My Q2 was a 2. Put it right here. And then also, let's see here, I believe my Q1 was also a 2. So Q1 got smashed into Q2. So what's happening is it's really a tightly packed box and whisker. We know my minimum in this case was 1. So my minimum is 1. My Q3 is 3. So I'll go down here to 3. My Q3 is 3. And then my maximum value is, what do we say? Our maximum value in this case is 6. So we got to decide, is this an outlier? Well, an outlier, if it's more than 1.5 units away from the box, it is an outlier. Now, this one is not an outlier, but the distance between this one is only 1, so this is good. So this 6 is an outlier, right? So let's see if there's another outlier. The next value is 5. Is 5 an outlier? So 5 is right here. Is that more than 1.5? Well, it's 1, 2. That one's an outlier, right? Well, next one is 4. Okay, well, 4 is right here. So 4 looks like it's 1 unit away, so 4 won't be an outlier. So in this case, we have 2 outliers with Q1 and Q2 being smashed together. And so what's happening is this box right here is really compacted. Okay, whenever your box in Whisker is compacted like this, it means your data is all smashed together. So if you go up here, you see how this data in my 4th period class, it's all very similar. Lots of 1s, lots of 2s, lots of 3s and 4s and 5s. It's all very close together. And when that happens, guys, what happens is your box becomes very compacted. Okay, all your data is smashed together, and anything that's a little bit away from that clump of data is an outlier. So these are my outliers. And also, a lot of times, what will happen today when your data is compacted like that, your Q's get smashed together. So in this case, Q1 and Q2 got smashed together right here. See that? So that's kind of weird. And then this Q3, it's really close too. Q3 is over here. And that's why I made this really dark to show you that, hey, Q1 and Q2 got smashed together. So when you have a compacted data, any point that's even a little bit of far away is sometimes an outlier when your box is not spread out that much. Okay. So now let's look at my 8th period class. I think my 8th period class, I mean, I like you guys in 5th and 6th periods and 3rd period, but I really, really enjoy my 8th period class. They're just such a nice bunch of kids. All right, so let's go ahead and find the median of my 8th period class. Now, first thing we do, I think counting by 11 is a good strategy. You just do 11 in each direction. So let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll go the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this 12 right here, this is my Q2. So I'm going to exit out. So I know that first 12 is my Q2, and hopefully I did that math right. So that first 12 is my Q2. All right, now the next one is my next outlet. So we'll go ahead and cross out. And oh, by the way, my minimum value is 0. Okay, let me do that in green because I'm writing in green with my 8th period. My minimum value is 0, and my maximum value is all the way over to 50. So that's pretty big, right? All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my Q1. So I'm going to go to my data, and I'm just going to start crossing out. So this 0 crosses out that 10. This 0 crosses out this 10. This 1 crosses out this 9. This 1 crosses out this 9. This 5 crosses out this 9. And this 5 right here, that's my Q1. So my Q1 is 5. I'll go ahead and put that in there. Q1 is 5. And then my Q3, let's do that. So this 12 cancels out this 50. This 16 cancels out this 46. This 18 cancels out this 41. This 21 cancels out this 39. This 26 cancels out this 38. And now we can see that that 32 is my Q3. So that's going to be my Q3. So Q3 is going to be 32. Okay. My IQR, remember how we find IQR? IQR is always Q3 minus Q1. Well, in this case, Q3 is going to be 12 minus my my Q3 is going to be 32, and my Q1 is going to be 5. So now I have 32 minus 5. I believe that's 27. Now, just for the sake of time, guys, so I believe if I did my math right, that's 27. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to do on a calculator. I'm going to take 1.5 times my IQR, which is, in this case, 27. And that gives me 40.5. So my IQR times 1.5 is I got 40.5 there. Okay. And that'll tell me about my outliers. That always is an outlier check. All right. So let's go down and take a look at this number line really quick here. And here we go. Let me come over here a little bit. All right. So the first thing we want to graph is let's do Q2 first. Well, Q2 is a median of 12. So Q2 is right here, is my 12 right here. Okay. So this is Q2. All right. My next one I want to graph is my Q1. Well, my Q1 is 5. So 5, let's see here. 5 is right here. So there's 5 is right here. So there's my Q1 right here. And then the next one I want to graph is my Q3. And my Q3 is 32. So way over here at 32 is my Q3. Oh, right there at 32 is my Q3. All right. Hopefully I can make kind of a straight line, and I'll box that in. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to figure out my minimum value. My minimum value in this case is 0. So I'm going to put a 0 right here. And then my maximum value was 50, if I remember right? My maximum was 50. So I go way over here to 50 and put a line here. Now, I probably should decide whether that's an outlier or not first, but I'll put a whisker there. And I think it's not an outlier, but let's check. I may have to erase this whisker right here. Okay. Now, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to look and see, well, remember, guys, it's the same number of data. So first of all, even though the red box and whisker and especially the purple box and whisker, they are much smaller than this guy right here, this green one. It's the same number of pieces of data. Okay, if you look up here at my data, the data was the same number. My class, those 3 classes are exactly the same size. I think I asked 23 kids in each one of those classes. So it's not that there's more data in those classes. What it means is the answers were much more spread out in my 8th period than they were. So because this is my 8th period, let me do it in green. This is my 8th period right here. This one right here was my 4th period. And this one is my 1st period. So we had 8th period, we had 1st period, and we had 4th period. Okay. So my 8th period's answers were much more spread out. Okay. It looks, so if I had to make a generalization about this, okay, just looking at these. So the first thing I would say is, I would say, if I just was making an observation, is not many kids in this class like ramen. Not many kids eat ramen. Because this data is compacted way over on the left side of the number line, okay? Not many kids eat ramen. Okay, this one right here in red, my conclusion here would be more kids ate ramen than 4th period, right? Than 4th period. Okay, and it did have a couple kids that ate, and we had an outlier in there, so we had more of a kind of a change. And then in 8th period, my summary would be is it was very spread out, very spread out. Okay, there was a vast majority. We had all the way from, I think, 0 all the way up to 50. So in this kid, in eighth period, there was a lot of different kind of some kids liked ramen, some kids didn't, and it's very spread out. So the choices were very different. Their answers were very different. So answers were very different. That's what I would say in my eighth grade class. Okay, so now it's time for the secret code. So listen up very carefully. The secret code is, I want you to write at the very top of your paper, don't count the outlier. I want you to write, don't count the outlier. Don't count the outlier. Write that at the very top of your paper. Don't count the outlier. Okay, so the last thing, and this, I'm sorry, this question is, how many times have you gone fishing this year? Okay, so I just went and randomly asked kids, how many times have you been fishing this year? I also asked myself that, and I don't know if you guys will see where my answer was in there. I put the data in order from least to greatest. And so here is the data that I asked random kids in the hallway. How many times have you gone fishing this year? And that's the data that I got, if you can see that. So what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to practice making a box and whisker from this. And so now just go ahead and copy the data down, and then figure out your maximum, your minimum, your Q1, your Q2, your Q3, your IQR, and your IQR times 1.5. All right. So I want you to go ahead and do this on your paper right now. If you don't get it done, you can do it later, and hopefully we can get this done this class. If not, it will be homework. Okay. Don't forget, also, guys, you have Delta Math on this. One thing I do want to look at is just some of the Delta Math problems. So make sure you're doing a box and whisker on this. And I just counted from 0 to 52 by twos on my fishing problem. So I want you guys to go ahead and do this on your graph paper also, and fill this one in just like I filled in the ramen question right there. All right, on the box and whisker here, I just kind of copied some of the box and whisker problems from Delta Math. Here it's asking for your IQR, right? So that means you're just going to take this number. It looks like we're counting by 10, 20, 30, 40, 5. Let's see here. It looks like we're counting by tens here. So it looks like we're at what? 60, 70, 80, 90. So it looks like you have to take 90. What is this? 10, 20. So, it looks like we're counting. I think we're counting by tens, right? So 150, 160, 170, right? And so this is going to be 170. So you remember your IQR is Q3 minus Q1. So that's what you want to do on those. You will have some Delta Math on that. The value of the first quartile, well, that means you're going to figure there's the first quartile. Remember, there's Q1. They want to know the value of the first quartile. And what is that? I think we're counting by 5, 10, let's see here, 25, 20, 30, 35, 40. So this is going to be 40. So that you'd be 40 on that one. On this one right here, guys, I kind of want to emphasize this. I'm not going to do this problem for you, but when you go into Delta Math, let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. You can take this and you can stretch it around. So you can move your Q2 around. You can move your Q1 around. You can move your maximum or minimum around. This one does not do outliers, though. So kind of that's the thing. So what you need to do is find your minimum, your maximum, your Q1, your median, your Q3, and then just move stuff around. So I just kind of wanted to point that out in your Delta Math because some kids were having questions about that. Okay. All right, guys. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure that you wrote down the secret code. Remember what I told you the secret code was. Go back and see if you can find it. And also make sure that you get this box and whisker done for the fishing problem, because that's really important that you do that. So get that data down and get that fishing problem done. All right. And turn your paper in at the end of class. See you later. Bye.